Hi, this is Kevin from AppLand. I'm going to show how to use AppLand to inspect and understand the REST Web Services API of an application. For this example, I'm going to use Discourse, which is an open source app that is mapped and featured in AppLand. Clicking into that, the first view is going to be a component style diagram of the different packages, web services, and database that are used by the app. But for this video, I'm going to focus on the Web Services tab. Web Services tab is an organization of the HTTP resources and routes. It's comprehensive and it covers all the routes that are exercised, in this case, by any test case of Discourse. So suppose I know that I want to understand better how the session deletion function works. So I find that under the session resource and look for delete session ID. There are 5 different scenarios or examples of this route being exercised. This one's from OAuth. These other ones are from upload. This one is more of a straightforward looking example of logging off, removing the session variable and the auth token. So I'm going to click on that. This is going to show me a detailed recording of the backend code that is exercised for this particular example of session deletion. I'm going to focus on SQL by leaving just the SQL filter boxes checked. And then I can step through this display to understand what happens in the backend. So up here in the flow view, I see the entry point of the web services and then function calls, which essentially flow from left to right and top to bottom. So I can step through those using the arrows. I can also zoom out to find, to get elsewhere in the flow. Or I can navigate through this view, which is a flame graph style, what we call timeline. So to actually see what happens in the flow, the first step is to look up the auth token by selecting it from the database. Then there's an update to set the last seen that the token has been seen and set the timestamp. Some other things, I won't get entirely into this, but you can see how I can pretty quickly figure out in detail what the functional flow is in the backend of this session deletion, and also see in detail the interactions with the database. So here I'm inserting into a user visit, and I know that the Discourse is tracking that. If I advance here, in the flow, I'll get to the session controller. So this stuff is all preamble. It looks like it's basically standard for any request. In this, when I see session controller destroy, now I'm actually exploring the functionality that's specific to session deletion. That navigates into this log off user, and I can use this full screen view to get more real estate to see what the flow looks like. So it looks like Discourse is going to find the auth token, insert a log that states that the token is being destroyed, delete the auth token with a delete statement, and then fire a webhook here that's presumably going to be an extension point that maybe extensions can use to send a notification or something like that. I also want to point out that for any of these functions, the source code is available. You can jump over to the specific SHA commit source. So if you want to really dig into something at the source level and see how it works, that's certainly available too. So as a user, I came in with really no knowledge of how this works aside from knowing which route I wanted to find. And I was able to get all the way down into the functional flow, SQL, and down to specific lines of code. So this provides me with a really rapid way to understand how the backend works for this particular flow.